Okay, can you see me normally now?
I can see you just fine. I mean, it's just a podcast. Don't worry about it.
No, but like, come on, girls. Think of the chicks who could be watching. Yeah, you need to put on a
What
good show,
chicks?
right?
Well, here's the thing. Volume is a bit low. I'm going to increase it. How about now? Talk now.
Bij doe dit, wij doen.
I can see you just fine.
Okay, but
But
can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear myself echo.
Really?
Oh, wait. I hear myself echo through my YouTube thing. Don't
Oh,
worry.
okay.
There's an echo from here.
Okay.
How do I enable the chat room? I've never done this before.
Oh
I need
God,
to
I'm
get
putting
the
my
live events. No, it's not from here.
my like this is definitely the most complicated thing I've done in my life. Seriously.
It should be fine. I mean, we're uploading, we're broadcasting actually on 1080p, so it's pretty good.
Oh, good.
And for some reason, I don't see the chat room, so I think the chat room is disabled from somewhere.
Well, that's good. That's wow. I'm sure I'm not the one who disabled it. Hold on.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know if
I
I'm the
got it,
one who
got it.
disabled.
It's in the control room. It's in the control here, so
Hmm.
group chat.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't
Well,
see you
yes.
actually.
Okay, when I say something, you should just start seeing me now.
Well, on my phone I can't see you. I can only see I just can't see you. That's all. Where can
Well,
I?
I can see
Where is it being broadcasted? On your channel, right?
on my channel.
Okay. So here I am.
And I already
I'm.
posted a link to the gaming lounge. You can post it anywhere you like. This is the link. I'm gonna just put the link right here.
Okay. I'm finally see what you're talking about. I finally see that it's uploading there and it's uploading here at the same time. And I don't believe that. Oh my God, people are actually hearing all our crap.
There's no one listening in so far. As far as I know, there are no watchers. There's no one watching here.
Mm.
So that's why I'm just going like, whatever.
Okay, no problem.
And if
But
someone's watching, so what?
my camera, someone's already watching? Oh God. My camera is
I'm
kind
just
of
doing
weird.
like
It's really small and hold on, maybe I can just
you
I
can
think
rotate it.
yeah, I can just I can okay.
Now I can see you like vertically. No, it's not working. I don't know. You must be a Samsung phone or something.
It's a Sony actually. It's an,
Yeah, yeah. Turn it back. This looks silly
what happened?
because it was just like a vertical thing. Like you were just like laying down there. It's weird.
God, yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Yeah, it's like so stupid. Okay, so we have one viewer. I can see one viewer now.
Oh, we have. Oh, hi, viewer.
Hey, viewer.
Oh my god.
Hey, what's up? Okay,
All right.
cool.
So we have one viewer. So we have to be entertaining now. Actually, instead
Yeah,
of just talking shit.
yeah. Oh God, I need a drink. Hold on.
Okay. So yeah, this is the Middle East Nerds podcast, and today we're going to talk about what we covered in the last few videos that we've done, the state of the gaming industry, and especially here in Dubai with the new release of the Order 1886, and how much disappointed I am with every single thing that I hear about it. But basically, we don't have a form, we don't have a format. We're just going to talk about what we played last and start rambling about games for a couple of hours. If any of you, well, I've got only one viewer here, and if you can just confirm that you can go into the chat room and say something on the chat room because I have no idea what I'm doing here. I don't know if the chat room is on or off. So if you can tell me, that would be nice. If it's not on, can you please just link some? Just tell me something on Facebook. I've got my Facebook on my other screen, so um, I can take care of it from there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. If you could do that, viewer, please. It's kind of, you know what? I'm going to turn off my monitor because it's disorienting me. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on. My camera is now very dark. Okay, so
So,
uh,
okay, Nejo, you start.
yeah,
What games have you been playing last?
the last game I've been playing. Well, are we talking the last modern game or are we talking the last game in general? Because the last game in
Last
general
game
I've
in
been playing,
general. Even if you were playing like Space Invaders last night, I want to hear about it.
I was playing Doom actually, and it's just this is Doom is the game like Doom and Doom 2 especially are the games that I play when I'm tired of gaming. Like they're the games that I go back to when I feel like I'm tired of gaming. I'm so disappointed with games right now. I just want to go back to a game that never disappointed me. Like Doom never disappointed me. Doom and Doom 2. It's just when did first person shooters step away from that? Like when did that happen?
I think I'm not really sure where to pinpoint it, but first-person shooters have never been like one sort of game and copy pasted to all over. Like I remember that era when Wolfenstein first came out, Wolfenstein 3D, and then Doom came out. But then even at that era, we had a game like Duke Nukem 3D, which was completely wacko, and then we had Rise of the Triad, which was wacko but in another direction. So I don't really think that first-person shooters were just this one genre that all followed Doom. Yes, Doom had a lot of clones, but that doesn't explain the existence of a game like Delta Force, where it was like one of the first military shooters.
Actually, I remember
So
watching a video that proved that Doom and Wolfenstein and all like these classics weren't really the first FPS games. Like there were actually FPS games before it. There was one that even dated it to like what was it? I think early 70s even.
yeah, I mean, I read the Wikipedia article where it suggested like one of the games where I can just look it up right now. Was the first? Yes.
My main point is like back then,
Um,
FPS games were just for fun. You know, like they were games that were just fun. Now I'm talking Doom, Doom 2, Duke Nukem 3D, Wolfenstein 3D, Rise of the Triads. Those games that were just fun. I mean, have you played Shadow Warrior, the original one?
I've played the original one. I've played the remake. Brilliant games.
That's my point. When did it stop being such a good genre? And I think I can pinpoint it to one game, and people are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to explain. I think first-person shooters started going down after Half-Life 2. Now,
Do explain.
yeah, before anyone hates me, let me explain. Half-Life 2, to me, is one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played in my life. Like, no doubt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of my favorite games, to be honest. But um, it did start a new type of trend. Like, it started the whole FPSs don't have to be just fun. Like, they can have a deep story, they can have deep narrative, they can have elements that are not specifically shooting. You know, like, it did start these trends.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is that after it started these trends, other people who tried making first person shooters started trying to like started trying to copy that, to try and get that again, and a lot were failing.
I would
I
say like there was a lot of them that succeeded more than the ones that failed.
Well, okay. To me, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I
Mhm.
can name the modern first-person shooters, like anything that came out in the last two generations. I can name them on my fingers. Like I can count them on my fingers. Seriously.
Well, okay. I mean, to just play. I mean, I do agree with you. Like, I do prefer games like Doom where you can just like play mindlessly and just have some fun. Quake is still one of my favorite FPSs of
Oh
all
yeah.
time. To play devil's advocate, I mean, on the last generation we had great games, great new IPs like a Metro Last Light and Metro 2033. So, would you rather live in a world without these two games?
Last Light I can definitely live without, but Metro 2033 was definitely a surprise. Like I loved it so much. It was definitely a surprise to me. By the way, when I said I could live without Metro Last Light, I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's a great game, but like it was great while it lasted. I don't remember anything from that game. Like seriously.
Oh, I the only reason I remember those games so well is because I've been to Moscow and I've been to the underground tunnels. I've been to some of the declassified sort of barracks that they had under there. It's pretty amazing over there. It's like it's constructed so close to reality that I just fucking enjoyed it.
Definitely agree on that. And I definitely agree that they are great games. I'm not saying they're not. They're definitely great. And I think the biggest thing, well, for me, the reason I played the game actually because I already read the novel itself. So I
Hmm.
was really seeing how the novel was created into a game. And it was a very good adaptation, by the way. I need to say that. Last Light had two things that bothered me, and I just felt like, Metro should be better than this. All in all, it had two modern FPS tropes that I don't like.
Okay.
Like the first being, you know, two weapons only. Like, when did that become a thing? Like, why am I forced to hold two weapons only? When did that become a thing? Like, I remember when playing Doom, and oh god, I love Doom. I remember when playing Doom, you can hold six weapons at a time, and each weapon had a different flavor to it. Each weapon had different uses for it. Like, you can't compare one weapon to the other. Well, unless it's the shotgun, in which case everything else is invalid. Uh,
Okay.
dude, you remember the shotgun of Doom 2? I mean, come on, I don't need to explain that. Uh,
Who doesn't? I mean, it's one of the most iconic weapons in first-person shooters history.
I think, well, to me, maybe that's only to me, but I think the shotgun in Doom, especially Doom 2, is as iconic as the crowbar in Half-Life. Like, to me, at least.
If not, I think it's even more. Like Half-Life is still like even today. I know a lot of newcomers to the gaming industry or the gaming scene that haven't even played Half-Life, but I know very few people that haven't played Doom.
True, true. Especially since Half-Life was only ported to like it was on PC. I think it was
Yeah,
ported to maybe two more consoles, I think. Uh, I'm
it
not
was
sure.
on the
Half-Life
first
1?
PlayStation. It was on PS2, I think. PS2 maybe got Half-Life 2, but I'm not sure if they got the first Half-Life. And there was a Half-Life Blue Shift that was never released on the Dreamcast. I have a pirated copy here of it somewhere. It still plays like shit, but well,
No, but seriously, I don't think Half-Life 2 was available on PS2. I know it's available on PS3, but Half-Life 1 is definitely available on PS2.
I'm not really sure about that. I mean, I played all of them on PC, so I would have a hard time
Yeah,
just to look it up.
like me too, but still, I'm just saying like it wasn't ported as much as Doom. Like think about it. When Doom came out, there was Doom on DOS. it was re-released on Windows.
Yeah.
It was released on Super Nintendo. It was released on the Sega CD. It was released on the uh, PlayStation 1. It was released.
PlayStation 1, 3DO, Jaguar, N64, you name it, they
Yeah,
got it.
it was just everywhere. Like, it was such an iconic first-person shooter. Even though it wasn't the first, to me, Doom, you can say it's basically Metallica. Like, yes, it's Metallica is not the first metal band, but they sort of made the rules for it in so many ways.
Yeah, they're not
I think
even my favorite metal band, but yeah, well, okay.
I'm not saying they're my favorite. I'm just saying like they set the bar for next for every other metal band that came after it. And I think Doom did the same thing. Like it set the bar for every other game FPS that came after it. Even if you look at games like Duke Nukem 3D, it did borrow a lot from Doom. Amazing game by itself, but it borrowed a lot from Doom. Uh,
Yeah, I do get what you mean, but here's the thing, like, did you mod Doom when you played it?
well, back then I wasn't very good in modding and stuff like that. I only played like vanilla games, basically.
Hmm.
I I wasn't.
Right now, have you, well, you were playing it just now, just the last few days, so have you modded it lately?
Well, yes, I did. I was actually playing Brutal Doom, and I was trying a few mods for that as well. Uh,
I think the Portal Doom 2.0 just been released.
oh, I need to look into that then. I don't know. I just think. Uh, I mean, when you see a game that's so good in its vanilla form, that's when you know that the game is awesome. So modding it,
Uh,
just making it more awesome, basically.
yeah, modding Doom, like Portal Doom, I tried, I think, version 1.7. That was the last one I tried. And it just made the game even more, well, as the name suggests, more brutal, with finishing moves, blood splatters everywhere. It's one of those games that is still fun till today. So answer me one thing. Like I excited for Doom 4, by the way.
Ah, that's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Um, Before I talk about that, can I talk about Wolfenstein? I'm going to explain to you why I'm excited. What's my opinion about Doom 4?
Okay.
Okay? So, Wolfenstein 3D was one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played. Well, not the
Hmm.
Super Nintendo version, but the actual version was one of the best I've ever played.
Hmm.
And I've played it back then, and I replayed it a few days ago, and the game is just, it's one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played. Um, the sequel to that, Spear of Destiny, was also really, really good.
Hmm.
Maybe it wasn't as good, but it was good, at least. Um However, I was recently introduced to the New Order, Wolfenstein, the New Order, that came out.
Hmm.
Yeah, it came out last year, I think. I was
Yeah.
recently introduced to it. Like I played it like maybe 2 months ago or something.
Hmm.
I started the game, and I think I think we talked about that before. I started the
Yeah.
game, and it was very deceptive. It made me feel like, oh, okay, it's just like every other first-person shooter. Like I'm tired of this. It's just like any other uh, like COD clone now. But then it turns out that it's not. I just
Yeah. The thing with
fell,
the
I just fell in love with it. Sorry?
no, yeah, the thing with the New Order, like it starts with like the tutorial kind of prologue, and it
Mm.
just introduces the mechanics in a modern warfare-esque, where you're jumping off planes to other planes and then like fighting this Normandy beach-like setting with a bunch of Nazis and robot dogs and like I don't know, like fighting alongside a bunch of soldiers, lots of explosions, big set pieces. But after you're done with that tutorial level, I would call it just tutorial level, then the real game begins, and that's when it really got me. Like, wait, this is like Return to Classics, and even better than the classic that you still have a choice. You can play it like a tactical sort of shooter. You can hide behind covers and do all this kind of stuff. You can play it all stealth and not even kill a single person during the entire game, or you can just go out guns blazing. And that was brilliant design from beginning to end.
Like this, that's a very good point because I really hate when games don't trust their gamers. Like, at least they trust me to put a wall between me and the enemy. Like, at least the game trusts me on doing that. I don't have to, like hide behind a wall and cover and then peek out and stuff like that. It trusts me to do that by myself, and I don't know. I just think that it's a beautiful game. And just because of that, I have hope for Doom 4.
Well, from people who played it in QuakeCon, they said that it's a return to classics, return to form, and it feels more like Brutal Doom than the original Doom. So that's okay. That's a bigger praise than I expected. But
Exactly.
we've seen a lot of press releases coming from these kind of events that are more colored and more colored with excitement and hype than the real thing. So I'm still skeptical. I still have hope, but I'm skeptical over it.
Yeah, I feel the same thing. And especially after how, like, at least Wolfenstein didn't have a bad Wolfenstein before the New Order came out. Like, there wasn't exactly a bad
Um,
Wolfenstein.
have you played Wolfenstein? Like, it's only called Wolfenstein. Like, it came out on PS3, Xbox 360. Because that
Uh,
that game kind of sucked.
oh God, I don't even know that.
There is Return to Castle Wolfenstein, which was an okay shooter. Came out in the PS2 era, and there's just Wolfenstein, and it was all about robot Nazis and everything. Yeah, I played them all, and Wolfenstein was just like okay, but the New Order was just a return to form in the best way I could ever imagine.
Well, you know what? I've never played Wolfenstein alone. Like, I played Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and I agree, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad either. But I never played Return. I never played the PS3 one. I thought the New Order is the next one.
No, I think that's the only one I played it on consoles. I think I have it on PS3 if I'm not mistaken. I
Maybe
could
I
look
don't
it.
remember.
No.
I remember it because, like, I just removed it from my head or something. Maybe I played it and I hate it from my head.
Well, it's not a
So I
special game at all. It's a nice game to finish in an afternoon and then forget about.
Oh, maybe that's it. Uh, I think that, like, that contradicts the argument I was going to make that Doom 3 sucked. So there is a reason to be skeptical about Doom 4.
I think in defense of Doom 3, John
Mm,
Carmack was thinking about technology that wasn't even mainstream at the time. Like if you
mm,
try Doom 4 now, played with the lights off, with surround sound headsets, and see how it
okay.
works for you. Because his whole spiel about not having like the gun and the flashlight on at the entire time, he wanted players to follow the sound of the creatures as they crawl around the tunnels and the corridors, and you just like when you fire your weapon, you see these flashes, kind of like alien-esque sort of scene, and they're just coming out to
Mm.
attack you, and that's the whole thing that he wanted to play with. Um, so yeah, he had a nice concept, but the technology at the time just wasn't there. It's
Yeah,
a game that became better with age. Yeah, I played it recently. It was not bad, but back then when I played it, I was like, what is this?
I think I played it only once. I didn't even finish it because I don't know, it just really didn't interest me. I was playing it for a while and then I was thinking, yeah, it really doesn't feel like a Doom game. Uh,
No, it's not a Doom
and
game at all. It's not even remotely connected to Doom.
but even if it wasn't, like I thought to myself, well, I really enjoyed Prince of Persia: Warrior Within, even though it doesn't feel like a
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Persia, but I enjoyed it. So maybe I can enjoy this without thinking of it as a Doom game, but I just didn't. I tried, I just didn't. I didn't like it, to be honest, and I couldn't even finish it. I think, like, it's not horrible. I'm not talking like it's not you know like Sonic 06 level of bad, but it's
Okay.
just I don't know. I didn't like it. I mean, yeah, I appreciate what Carmack tried to do, but I just didn't like it in general. But I am looking forward to Doom 4, and I really hope that it delivers. The last first-person shooter that I played and enjoyed a lot, like I can tell you without a doubt that I loved it, was
Mm-hmm.
Resistance.
Which one?
Yeah, like I've played a lot of FPSs on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Not necessarily on those consoles. I mean, like in the era of PS3 and PS4. Like a lot of them I played on PC. But what I mean,
Okay.
in the seventh and eighth gen, I've played a lot of FPSs. Some of them were fun. Some of them were meh. A lot of them were bad. But the ones that really stuck in my head, like I can seriously just mention them on my fingers. Seriously. And I'll still have a few more to put Doom in. I'll still have a few more figures to include Doom as well.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
I mean,
I can tell you,
I didn't
Resistance
enjoy a
One.
lot of FPS games because it's one of my favorite kind of genre. But I've never really got into Resistance, and not because I tried it and hated it or anything, but it's just because I never got the chance to play it.
Yeah, yeah. I look. If you do, like, if you get it, if you sit down and if you play it, I can tell you, Resistance One was a weird game. Like, it looked horrible, but it was really enjoyable. Like, seriously, seriously enjoyable. Resistance 2 was, in my opinion, a masterpiece, but it did have the whole regenerated health thing, which I didn't like. But it made sense in the story. Like, the story makes sense why he has regenerated health.
Yeah, I
Um,
do got it.
yeah, I mean, if you play the game, because in the first one, uh, you're playing as Nathan Hale in the first and second. I'm not going to spoil anything from the story because the story is actually interesting. I love the story of Resistance. In the first and second, you're playing as Nathan Hale, and you get uh, like in the first one, in the first 10 minutes of the first one, you get infected by this type of virus, the same virus that's changing humans into chimera. Uh,
Okay.
when you get infected, you get some of their powers, but you don't transform uh, like immediately. Like you just get some of their powers. One of their powers is regeneration. In Resistance 1, he isn't fully transformed, so his regeneration isn't that good. So you only regenerate a part of your health, not full health. In Resistance 2, there isn't health. There isn't any health. So you just have to regenerate it normally, like COD and all that. That's the only part of Resistance 2 that I didn't like, but it did have one of my favorite parts in any video game, which was the part where you're fighting this huge, uh, I think, what was his called? What was he called? The Leviathan. The huge Leviathan.
Okay.
If you played the game, trust me, there is no, like, imagine this huge, giant Leviathan in the distance, destroying buildings and creating havoc. I don't mean the engine havoc. I mean like he's just destroying everything. And you take this rocket launcher and shoot him with it. It doesn't hurt him or anything, but imagine how he's not even looking at you and he's in the distance. And when it hits him, he looks towards you. This giant thing just looks towards you. That was one of the favorite moments. Like that was the one of the best wow moments I had in any video game. Uh,
Okay. By the way, we got a question from one of the watchers. For some reason, like my chat room is not working. So, Drunken Monkey Combat. If you know how to like enable the chat room, please let me know. Or maybe just chat like post in the chat room. He's asking, have you guys played Shogo? To be honest, I've never even heard of Shogo. So what I'm gonna do is Google it while Nijo here can answer. Like, if you ever played Shogo.
I've never played Shogo as well. I would really hope you like. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna entertain the crowd until you find out what Shogo is.
Well, I mean, I already found it. It's a game from 1998. Came out on the Linux, Macintosh, Windows, and it looks like a Japanese sort of mecha kind of thing. I
Hmm.
really had no idea. It looks like Armored Core in a way.
You know
It's
what?
interesting, but I've never played it.
It could be interesting to check it out to like try it. I mean, is it available on Steam or GOG or
It's
anything like
available on
that?
GOG for $6.
Well, that's good. So
I
we'll
think there
pick
was
it
an
up.
episode by Lazy Game Reviews where he played it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I remember it now. Like he played it, and yeah, you get to switch between like a person or the actual robot, or like a third-person view where you just destroy a lot of things. Looks quite interesting.
I need to look into that. If it's a good game and if it's from the 90s, then I would really enjoy it. Uh, Weird that we didn't hear about it before, actually. If it's a
Well,
Japanese
I mean,
game,
it looks Japanese to me.
well, if it is
Looks
a
very
Japanese,
Japanese.
yeah, like maybe a lot of people saw it. They said, well, it's a first-person shooter made by Japan, so they just didn't feel that interested in it. Maybe I'll look into it.
Well,
Uh,
it
it
was
could be
published
interesting.
by Interplay, so it shouldn't be really that obscure. The same guys who published Blood and Blood 2, and I played Blood 2 to death.
Blood. God, I want to play that game again. Uh, it's like, but yeah, yeah, we should look into it, and it does sound interesting, and I do like mechs.
Well, you see my figurine collection. I don't have a single mecha in here. I am not really into that genre.
Yeah, I can totally understand when someone is not interested in that genre, but I can like you can easily blame Hideo Kojima for my love for mechs. You can really blame him. Seriously. Uh,
Well, I
he like basically what happened is like everyone knows the story. It happened to a lot of people, not just me. When Zone of the Enders came out, no one was interested in Zone of the Enders. They were just interested in the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo within the Zone of the Enders game. No one was interested in the game itself, and then it turned out to be an awesome game. So that's the first game that actually got me into the whole mech thing.
yeah. The thing is, I have like a huge Metal Gear Rex statue back home, back in Saudi, but I couldn't really move it here. And yes, Drunken Monkey just replied. He said, "Made by the same guys that made Blood 2." Yes, I already looked it up. Yeah, it looks interesting. I'll look into it. Um, Probably even make a video about it. And like, okay, let's just like a first glimpse into a game from the 90s that I've never heard about till now. Could be interesting.
There are a lot of games like that. I'm gonna say something that's gonna get me a lot of hate, but
Which is,
like I found out about Majora's Mask
yeah.
5 years ago.
I have my golden cartridge right there still.
Well, I found out about it 5 years ago when I was just hold on. My charger is not sufficient. Uh, I found out about it when like 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, um, when I was browsing the Wii Virtual Console and I saw it, and I never heard about it before. So it can happen. Some good games can go under the radar. Well, I mean, I'm an idiot for not knowing about Majora's Mask, but still, don't blame me. I never had an N64 when I was a kid.
Yeah, if you didn't have 64, then I do understand, but it's still one of the best Zelda games ever made.
It's not one of the best. It's the best. I've never played a Zelda game till now, which is better than Majora's Mask. Maybe that's just my opinion, but hey, it is my opinion.
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
played a lot of games, and this is just like this takes the cake for me.
I would have a hard time, a real hard time, trying to decide which Zelda game is the best.
I just maybe for me, like, okay, my two favorite Zelda games, by the way, before anyone asks, yes, I already played every Zelda game up till now. Like, I know some of them I didn't know when I was a kid, but I did play all of them, up till now. Uh, I think the only one I didn't play is Skyward Sword because I tried liking it and I couldn't.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, I tried. I really tried. It looks gorgeous. It controls well, but the combat was horrible, and the game itself, I just didn't like it. I'm sorry. However, that's not the point I was talking about. Like the point is, every single Zelda game that came out, I've already played. If not completed, then at least came close to completing it. And I can easily tell you that Majora's Mask and Wind Waker are my two favorites.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's a
I don't
weird.
agree on Herb. Whatever.
Yeah, I know. You told me before you don't like. You're not a big fan of Wind Waker.
It's just sailing and sailing and sailing and sailing. No,
Yeah, that's
non-stop
what.
sailing.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the sailing in it, and later on you do get the ability to fast travel. I mean, that counts for something.
Yeah, true, true. I would never deny that.
Yeah, I just love. Like I don't know. I just loved it. It had some weird story elements. Uh, it had some like there were some fillers that were fixed, by the way, in the remake on the Wii U.
Hmm.
Uh, but all in all, I don't know. I just feel like it's my favorite. Like the colors, the gameplay, the characters, everything. All in all, I just loved it. I think the only thing I didn't like about it is the story. I think that's the only thing I didn't like.
So are you excited for the Wii U Zelda, whatever it's called?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, seeing how Nintendo is treating us so far, I'm pretty sure it's going to be called The Legend of Zelda U. I'm really sure about that.
Well, are you excited about it or not?
It depends, because I was, and then I heard something that made me feel a bit, maybe it's not going to be that good. Like at first, when they announced it and they said it's going to be an open world, I was thinking, wow, so this could be like the new original Legend of Zelda. Because, the first Legend of Zelda is technically an open world. The first one that came out on the NES. It was
Yep.
technically an open world. So I was excited for this one as well. I was thinking, this could be the next original Legend of Zelda. It could be the Legend of Zelda that we loved back then, but remade for the new console. Yeah, well, I'm saying new console. I mean this new console.
Hmm.
Um, but then came out another article about the maker of the game. I don't know if it's a maker or it's just a Nintendo spokesman. That said that even though it's going to be an open world, it's still going to feel like a game. It's still going to play like a Zelda game. And then I thought to myself, well, Nintendo thinks that Skyward Sword is a Zelda game. Nintendo thinks that
It's just like it's
the
PR
first
buff. Don't take it to heart. Like they still thought that Wind Waker is the true vision of Legend of Zelda, and then they in Twilight Princess they totally split the feel of the game, and they were like, no, this is what we meant by the feel of the game. And then with Skyward Sword, they were like, no, this is actually what we meant. So I don't really listen to PR people that much. Um,
I,
from what I've
I
seen,
don't
it's
know.
just like a small cutscene of the game, and it looks quite interesting. Now, is it going to
Like,
be amazing? Not sure.
you know what I wish, and I
What?
usually don't wish that, but I wish it's going to boost the Wii U. I really wish it does.
I don't know about the Wii U personally. Like, it's a console that I wish would just disappear and we would get something better.
I don't know, man. I seriously don't know. I think it's a good console. It just came out at the wrong time. Like, if it was a console that came out against the PS3 and the Xbox 360, it would have been a lot better. Like, if it came out then, it would have been a lot better. But since it came out against the PS4 and the Xbox One, and although it has more games, technically, like tech-wise, it doesn't compare. It is already an advantage. Like, imagine if it was as strong as the PS4 and Xbox One, tech-wise. Uh,
Hmm.
Dragon Age Inquisition would have been on it. Assassin's Creed Unity would have been on it. Are they good games? I'm not saying they're good games. I'm saying they would have been on the Wii U. So a person who is interested in those games, a person who's looking forward to third-party games, would be interested in the Wii U. The Wii U would have been a contender. Now, back then, when the Wii came out, it wasn't trying to compete with the PS3 and Xbox 360. It wasn't as strong as those two. Like, the graphics were basically PS2 graphics. Um, but it did make something different. And that's their mistake. The Wii was their mistake. They thought that the Wii is getting hardcore gamers. But it's not. It's getting casual gamers. A few hardcore gamers just got it. And those few hardcore gamers are the ones who bought the Wii U when it came out. So basically now you have the accurate number of hardcore gamers who got the Wii. The rest
Uh,
rich daddies and rich mommies getting their kid something to play tennis with. Like, I bought a Wii U. I'm not going to lie. When it came out, well, I bought it like 2 years after it came out. I bought it for one game only that time, and that game was actually uh, Paper Mario on the Wii U. That, dude, I'm sorry. I love that game. I don't care what you say. I just love Paper
who
Mario.
doesn't? Paper Mario is amazing.
Uh,
And
I
here's what I think. I think that, with the way Nintendo's been releasing consoles, like the Wii was a complete and utter lucky success for them. That it just caught fire out of nowhere, just because people just loved playing with that little Wiimote, and then they wanted
exactly.
to copy that with the Wii U, and that lucky charm, that lucky thing, just didn't happen. It didn't strike twice. So now we have a console that is underperforming, that is not selling well, and they're holding all our franchises, or our beloved franchises like Metroid, Star Fox, Zelda, and Mario, hostage to that console.
It's
I'm
not
saying, hey,
even that.
Nintendo, why don't you just pull a Sega? Why don't you just go and like
Oh,
start going third party?
that would be awesome. If they did that, it would be the best thing. At least there would be games to play on the PS4. At least.
I can just imagine what the new Zelda on Steam with like mod support.
Oh my God! Imagine. Well, no, that's never going to have mod support. But you know, I get your
It would
point,
never stop modders.
dude. I believe me, they would find a way to stop modders. We're talking about the people who tried to sue Game Genie creators. So
Good luck with the modders. Most of them are anonymous anyway. Good luck with that.
uh, let's. You know what? It would be awesome if they could do it. I would really love that to happen. But they would. They would never, because they're making enough money with the 3DS.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I mean, look
they've been going through some financial trouble lately, so even that is not really valid
at
anymore.
3DS. Bought the new 3DS. Like,
Yeah, but
I'm
even
sorry.
that, they're not really doing that well financially, and I don't think that they're they can just sustain the same business model for much longer. I mean, they're just like they're trying to collect scraps right now, like with their new YouTube creator program. They're just like gripping at scraps of money. That's how desperate they are.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look at the new 3DS. By the way, I just have to say this. I don't care if anyone's going to get offended by this. I just have to say it. If you already own a 3DS and then you bought a new 3DS, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I have to say it. If you've never owned a 3DS and then you buy a new 3DS, you're a lesser kind of idiot. So I'm sorry about that as well. Look,
Okay.
no, I'm going to say this in a way that everyone can understand, gamers and non-gamers alike. If I gave you a new iPhone
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have a charger,
Yeah, with the charger thing. That's just stupid.
why? I'm going to say, well, it didn't have a charger before. No, I mean, if you're going to ask me why it doesn't have a charger, I'm going to say, well, you had an early, the previous iPhone, so you still have the charger for that iPhone. Use that. What kind of reason is that? And this whole type of this ritual that you need to make, this like blood sacrificing ritual that you need to make to transfer your games from your old 3DS to the new 3DS. It's
Is
it's
that
a
even
joke.
possible? Oh yeah, it
It
is
is
possible. Yeah, I remember.
possible, but you need to have the two 3DSs, the old one and the new one. You need to have both should be connected to the internet. You need to put settings to both of them. You need to get the Book of Life and the Book of Death. You need to put a circle of salt on the floor. A
And
lot
light
of
six
things you need.
candles.
Yeah, light candles, and you need to a lot of like. God damn it! I just hate. Why do I make a user? Don't don't let me make a user then. I don't have to make a user. If I'm going to do all this shit just to transfer from one console to another, don't let me make a user. I don't have to make a user then.
Yeah, well, we got another comment. He from our sole sort of watcher. No, we don't have. I don't think we both hate the Wii U. He's saying why the Wii U is
I
awesome.
don't.
Why is the hate?
I actually
Well,
like it.
I wouldn't really say that I hate anything, and like I wouldn't hate pieces of technology. I wouldn't just look at this phone and go like I hate this phone. But I am critical over everything. Yes, I use an iPhone 6. I'm critical over the iPhone 6 with a lot of things. I'm critical over Steam. If you watch my videos, I know that you just subscribed to Drunken Monkey, but I did two videos. One of them is like what I hate about the current generation of consoles, and the other one said what I hate about PC gaming. And it's just specific points in each platform of gaming that I hate. I wouldn't just hate a company, or I wouldn't just hate a console. I would hate the policies. I would hate the everything that's anti-consumer that they're doing. Because if I keep apologizing for companies when they go anti-consumer, then that makes me just I don't know an ass sucker of some sort. And I can't be that. I just can't.
I can totally understand that. I, on the other hand, don't have a problem with hating people because I do hate Nintendo. I just don't hate the Wii U. Before anyone asks why do I hate Nintendo, I don't hate them because of their product. I hate them because of their greed, because of their policy that always shows their greed. Nintendo has always been a greedy company. Ever since the N64, they have been a greedy company. Now, I
Even
love
back in the Super Nintendo days, even back in the Super Nintendo days, they were just the worst.
they were like they had very bad policies. They were greedy. I love the Sega Genesis just because it started the whole. Nintendo is not the only company out there. Like, if it wasn't for the Sega Genesis, the like Nintendo would monopolize the whole console world. Seriously, if it wasn't for
Yeah, well, it was almost
Sega.
a monopoly back in the time.
Yeah, yeah, because I know the Master System was available, but I mean, whoever owned the Master System, honestly. Like if you don't have an NES, you have a Famicom, basically.
Yeah, the thing is, even PC back at the time was not as powerful as the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo. It was just not.
Exactly, exactly, and that's my point. Because back then, I think it was using only CGA and VGA stuff, and it wasn't as powerful as a console. If you look at Prince of Persia, the classic Prince of Persia, the definitive version is actually the Sega Genesis one.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, even though the Super Nintendo one looked also like it technically looked better, but it didn't play better. The Sega Genesis one actually did play better, and it looked fantastic. It looked grimy, it looked scary, it looked creepy. I just loved it. Um, so basically, I hate Nintendo as a company because of their greed, not because of their product. I mean, I love their games. Even the Wii U, I have a Wii U. I love Super Mario 3D World. I'm looking at my games here, by the way. I love
hmm
Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. I love Bayonetta 2, even though it's not exactly Nintendo, but it's on the Wii U. And even Captain Toad, the newest game that came out, Captain Toad, is really fantastic. I don't know, I love their games, but I just don't love their policies. This whole, like every controversy that they make, and I hate the fact that people always give them a pass. Like, if a company like, well, I was going to say Ubisoft, but I don't want to use Ubisoft in any positive way not right now.
Okay.
Let's say, well, I'm going to use Activision now. I know they're shit, but at least they're less shit than others at the moment. Uh, if Activision made a game with DLCs, people would flip out. But when Nintendo does DLCs, everyone says, well, it's like this is a good DLC, even though it's not different than a DLC made by Activision. It's a
hmm
DLC. Uh, it's an overpriced, uh, it's an overpriced content that should have been in the game before.
Well, I
It's not
mean, not
DLC.
all DLC is good DLC, no matter what. And
DLCs
I,
out
I
there.
still haven't I still defend expansion packs and stuff like
I do.
skins as DLC. I mean, okay, it's just cosmetic, so why not?
Well, no, no, because sometimes they're really overpriced, and I really don't like that. If you want to
Well, I
make
mean,
them,
if it's
give them a
optional,
good
then
price.
it's optional. Just leave it
You
there.
know,
Just don't buy it.
Dota and Team Fortress, yes, I agree, and they have really good cosmetic stuff that are reasonably priced, and they don't change the gameplay in any way. But when you have gameplay elements as DLC, it should be a good one. Like, as an example, uh, Outlast,
hmm
great, complete. It's a complete game. It's a complete experience. And then Whistleblower came out that adds to the experience. Now that's a good DLC. I would pay for that. That's a good DLC. Uh, let's look at. I'm thinking of new ones, new games. Let's.
Yeah, there's
I
been a
just think.
lot like that. I can think of quite a few. Like The Last of Us had some good DLC.
Yeah,
Even
Left Behind
Skyrim.
DLC was really good.
Go ahead. What did you say?
I was saying the Left Behind Last of Us DLC was really good.
Yeah, and I would make the argument that even the three expansions that Skyrim got were pretty good, like for their price and everything. Like it just felt like part of the game, but it's just like an additional thing, just like an additional quest line right there. It didn't feel
Uh,
disconnected, it didn't feel like tacked on or in any way. It was quite good.
yeah, I look when it comes to open world, it is harder to make a DLC, and yeah, Skyrim did make it well. I agree on that. I also loved the DLC of Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls. The second one, the DLCs are really handled badly. That I can talk about that later, but I just think they were handled badly. But the first Dark Souls really had a good DLC. The uh, crap, I forgot the name. To Artorias of the Abyss. Like it was a very good DLC. Um, these are good DLCs. Another example of a good DLC is the crap. What was the name of that game? It's not long ago. It didn't come out long ago. Long ago. Yeah. What do you think of Blood Dragon?
Blood Dragon is more like I wouldn't say it's a DLC of the game. It's more like I don't know, a side kind of game, which
I
was pretty
agree.
awesome.
It was one of the most awesome things I've played in my life. Like,
Yeah,
I wish they could make a whole game like that.
I was like, thumbs up, Ubisoft. I mean, come on, this is just freaking awesome. More of this, please.
Uh, oh God, it was awesome. But I don't like the fact that they said they're thinking about making a Blood Dragon 2. I don't want a Blood Dragon 2. I want another experience like Blood Dragon.
Well, who knows? Let's just wait and see. So, by the way, what do you think of the controversy around Evolve with their DLC model?
I couldn't give a fuck. I'm sorry. I tried. I just
I
like the
mean,
game itself is boring. The way they handled the DLC stuff is laughable. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, the people who are playing Evolve at the moment, the people online playing Evolve at the moment, are less than the people playing the multiplayer in Dying Light, which is not a multiplayer game.
yeah, well, Dying Light has got a lot of attention. Surprisingly so. Like it got some very very positive attention. But the thing is, like, it's not about like if the game is good or not. Like the game is just not for me at all. But the thing is, people just blew the DLC thing way out of proportion. Because I looked into it, and it's just like monster skins and nothing else.
It's
So
why?
yeah,
It's not monster.
I would argue
They are
that
different.
maybe the price point of the game is quite too high. It's like it's $60. I wouldn't pay that much. I wouldn't pay $100 for like a Hunter's Collector's Edition or a Monster Race Edition. Yes, I do agree with that. But the thing is, like, to complain that there are skins that are just there, and they're like, oh, $2 each. So what? If you don't
But
want to
it's
buy them, don't buy them. They're skins.
not just skins. Like there are different. Like you need to download DLC monsters and DLC hunter types, and I like.
Well, the
I,
hunters, you've got like 6 hunters and 4 monsters from the get-go, and they will be introducing new monsters and hunters
yeah,
later on.
of course,
It's just like
for a reasonable
it's like a
price, of
MOBA
course.
kind of style where you just buy champions. So so
Look,
I still see nothing wrong with that.
if the game was $20 to $30, I would have. No one would have complained about the DLC. But the game is $60. Do you think six hunters and four monsters are enough?
Well, so far,
Like,
yes.
let me
So far, because
know.
a
I
team of 4 hunters and one monster evolve into 3 steps, and it's working out pretty well. Like the gameplay itself is pretty solid.
how, how about this? Let's think about it this way. Team
Mm.
Fortress 2. How many classes are there in Team Fortress 2?
Well, Team Fortress 2 is just a first-person shooter kind of with classes. This is a different thing. This is like the imbalance of the game, like Evolve, is what made it fun.
But I
It's not
still
about
don't get it.
balancing things out here.
At Left 4 Dead, you had four enemies, and you had how many zombie types
I don't
in
know,
Left 4 Dead?
6, 7 maybe.
Yeah, well, six, seven, let's say. And how much was it when it came out? I remember it was like what, $40 when it came out. Left 4 Dead
Well,
2.
it's like I said, the price point is my problem. Like it's a little bit too expensive for my taste. Now, but
Yeah,
is the price of DLC is too much? No, it's not. So let's just separate two issues here. Okay, even if I even if the DLC was included, which was just skins, I wouldn't buy that game for $60. But if it was cheaper, I'm okay with buying just one skin that I like for $2. Like, okay, I'm gonna like customize my monster because I like it so much. And a lot of mobile players actually understand that. They would buy skins because they just love that character. They don't have any weapon loadouts as DLC. They don't have anything that really gives you a
yet,
buff as DLC.
yet. They don't
And
have
they're
it
not
yet.
gonna. I mean, it's the thing that they kept communicating with people. The thing about there are two games right now that have a lot of controversy. That the developers, I can't fault the developers for not communicating with people enough. So you have H1Z1 and Evolve. They communicated everything, and they were like quite clear. Like, this is what we're gonna have as DLC. This is what we're not gonna have as DLC. And people were okay with it until the games were released, and then controversy just popped out of nowhere. And developers were just like, well, we just told you that this is our model.
H1Z1 was a lie. Like they said, it's not going to be a pay-to-win game.
And
Like
it's
you
not a
won't.
pay-to-win game.
But it is. It is. You can actually buy weapons with real money. Weapons that you can't buy unless.
You can buy a crate, a health crate that's going to be dropped far away from you on the map. It's going to alert everyone around you, and it's going to be a fight to the death to whoever is going to get the crate. And that idea was first pitched on Twitter while development, and everybody was okay with it until it was released, and people were like, "Wait a minute, we're paying for money for weapons." And the developers were like, "We told you so. This is the system that we're going to have." Because weapons in general, they're kind of rare in the world. So how are you going to get them? Someone's going to have to pay for them somewhere, but you could just get it for free. And
No,
that's
but
a very, very amazing mechanic, because yes, you can put in $2 and have that crate landing next to you, but you can never guarantee that you're going to get it.
I don't know. I just really don't agree with you on that. I think that H1Z1 really screwed up that mechanic. They never said anything about weapons. They said yes, items that could help you, items that could heal you, stuff like that. But they never mentioned anything about weapons.
Well,
Like
I can just Google the tweet and show it to you, because I've been following this game since development. I mean, it's not my type of game, but I've been just following it just because. Um, and yes, the developers never really said that they're not going to have um, those crates with weapons in them. They've been
just
quite
said
clear about it
that,
from the beginning.
and it's clearly a pay to win.
No, I don't really think so. I don't think so, because even if you get some weapons, yeesh, I've seen some streams of it. Even if you get that crate, you're not guaranteed to win shit.
I don't know.
And if you don't,
Well,
even if you don't pay a dime, you still have a chance to win if you plan your moves correctly. It's just like DayZ in a
well,
way, made better.
no, actually, I don't think so. I really think that DayZ is made better.
Really? How so?
Well, first of all, I played DayZ and I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy H1Z1 as a game. As a specific game, H1Z1 is a great game. I just don't like the policy.
Okay.
That policy of it, I really don't like it. I don't like it felt like a pay to win, while DayZ didn't. Well,
Well, I mean,
to be fair, I'm talking about the DayZ mod. I never tried the vanilla one.
the vanilla one just kept crashing on me. I never really was able to play any game on it. But the thing is, like, I really don't see your point, because I've seen a few streamers that got into the game, never paid a dime. They were able to get some weapons, and then once they get a warning like there's a crate being dropped nearby, they would just rush to that area, and it's like a fierce fight to whomever gets the crate. And the poor guy that buys it usually just ends up dying. So it's actually punishing you for paying for that crate, because if you don't know what you're doing, because most people that do it, they either don't know what they're doing, or maybe they have overconfidence. So you're actually being punished for playing that way, because you're going to attract more attention to your location. So it's adding this element of risk over
Like, why
its
not? But this is real
why not?
money we're talking about. If it was gaming money, I would say yeah. But this is real
Well,
money, and this is not a free game. H1Z1 is not a free game, is it?
no, it's not.
We already paid for it. Why do we need to pay more for something that
You
we
don't need
might
to.
not?
You don't need to.
You
It's
don't
just
need to.
adding
You
this.
just did.
All right, you want to get it to win. You want to take the easy way. Well, guess what? It's not an easy way. There's an added risk.
I just
And
don't see.
I prefer that kind of model over an unsustainable kind of model, which is like, I don't know, they want to have like an MMO-like game with no subscription. So to have microtransaction is something that they can't really avoid. They have to keep the servers up. And I prefer this model over any other solution. Like, you can't say, I want an MMO and I want to pay for it once and forget about it. That just
Well,
never works.
DayZ. It worked in DayZ.
Daisy was using, I think it was using the, what's it called? The Arma 2 servers,
Yeah,
and
it
they
was.
own the servers. And it
Yeah.
wasn't as big as H1Z1 wants to be. It wasn't even nearly as big. Now H1Z1, it's still early access, and they're hoping for like an actual game with like 2 or 3 million people playing at the same time. I don't think Daisy is that big. And
H1,
Daisy, as I said, Daisy is quite buggy.
when H1Z1 comes out, well, both of them are in early access at the moment, especially the vanilla
Yeah,
H1Z1.
both of them are.
I mean, we don't know how the finished product
Yeah, the
is going to be.
Daisy actual game is.
I'm not against
The
that.
original Daisy. Hmm?
I'm not against H1Z1 that much. I prefer DayZ over H1Z1, but both of them are games that I'm not interested in anyway. And so same thing for Evolve. I'm really not interested in Evolve. I like the concept because I did enjoy Left 4 Dead, but I just feel like okay, 10,000 people are playing it. It's not that it's like it's not gonna be that fun. I don't
Yeah,
know.
give it time, I guess. Maybe when new monsters are released, maybe it's gonna be more fun. It just was released like what, last week, so give it some time. Maybe it's gonna gain momentum. Maybe it's gonna just disappear into obscurity.
Let's see. I was interested in it when I saw it in E3, but then again, I was interested in Destiny. So, I mean,
To be honest, I was never interested in Evolve, but after watching a few reviews, I'm kind of interested in it. I might pick it up later on, but if it gets a little bit of a cheaper price. At this price point, I would never buy it.
well,
H1Z1,
you
I'm
know
still
what?
interested in the game, but I don't buy early access, no matter what.
So basically, it's like that. You're going to get Evolve, and actually, I'm going to get the Order. So how about this? You tell me what you think about Evolve, and I'll think about buying it. I'll tell you what I think about the Order, and you think about buying it.
No, Evolve, I'll buy Evolve once it gets a discount. I'm not buying it for $60.
Yeah, I agree. I
And
agree.
from the early reviews, like it needs a lot of balancing work. Like some of the monsters is way overpowered. Some of the powers that they have is just like devastating.
But the
So
fact of monsters, like this idea of like you start as a small monster and then you evolve into a bigger one. I love that concept. I mean, that's why it was
yeah, and
called
then
Evolve.
and it's the whole thing about being hunter or hunted. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like the idea that I haven't played it, but I heard that that's the concept of it. Like you have a better chance of killing the monster before it evolves.
Yeah, and even after it evolves, you still have a chance. But again, the it all depends on your team. Now, playing it in public is going to be a disaster. Like one stubborn person in your team and you're dead. You're just gone because it's a game that really relies on cooperation between the team. So it's sort of like this first-person shooter with MOBA elements combined with something like I would say Left 4 Dead maybe or Giant Citizen Kabuto, where it was it was again playing on imbalances. Like the characters are not balanced. Like some of the attacks are overpowered, some of the monsters are overpowered, but they thrive on that because even the
Hmm.
overpowered ones, if you have a good team of hunters, they can bring them down. And even the hunters that have like pretty overpowered like special moves, if you're a smart monster, you can take them down. So it's a game that is gonna like either grow slowly as the community starts figuring out the kinks that is inside the game, or it's gonna just disappear into obscurity. And I think the biggest problem that it has right now is that it has a very high price point. And the controversy that they have over skin DLC is just like ridiculous, and that's hurting the game in such a way. So if I was in the shoes of those company of the devs, I would just go like, hey, you know what? Just have the DLC for free for now. Just like for the first month. Just open the DLC for free. Make people feel at ease getting into the game.
Yeah,
And
could be.
once you build that community, the community is just going to thrive by itself. Like the community is going to bring more players in.
Yeah, yeah, could be. But again, I told you in the beginning I couldn't give too much attention to it. I'm not like basically I'm not into competitive or cooperative gameplay. I prefer single player experiences. I've always preferred single player experiences, unless it's couch multiplayer, which is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my a friend of mine really tried to get me into Dota. As much as I love the game, I really do love it, but I don't see like I would rather watch it than to actually play it for some reason.
That's the same with me with League of Legends. I would never play it. I enjoy watching it.
I hmm, yeah, I don't want to go there.
Why?
I don't want to go into the whole Dota versus LOL thing. I'm
Well,
just
I
not.
don't want to go into it either because I don't know much about either of them to really participate in such a debate. But
I
I
do.
do enjoy watching League of Legends matches.
Well, when it comes to watching, maybe I can understand that, but as a game itself, I can tell you why League of Legends cannot compare to Dota in any way. I know a lot of the history between them, and I know a lot of the gameplay differences between them. Uh,
I mean, in the end, for me
as an
personally, it
example.
doesn't matter. I just like the watching.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but for anyone who's watching who wants to know my opinion about it, why I dislike League of Legends, but I like Dota. I know I don't play them much, but I do understand them, and I do understand the gameplay elements of them. It's like when you're a football fan, for example. If you're a football fan and you
Hmm.
never watch, you never play football, but you understand watching football. So even if
Okay.
I even if I'm not that good in the game itself, I understand it, and I understand what's the difference in it. Uh, Dota, there's a reason why Dota and League of Legends have different tactics when it comes to characters. In League of Legends, you need to unlock the characters. However, in Dota, every single character is available from the get-go. Now, people think, well, League of Legends, you have to play more in order to unlock characters, which is a good thing. It means it gives you motivation. But you need to think of it this way. Dota has every single character open from the get-go because characters contradict each other. Characters outpower each other. Every single character is different. You can choose a character who would slay every other character, but there's one character that could stand in his way. And it really makes the difference between, winning and losing. Like you could get a character and you would say, well, this is the strongest character against this team. However,
Hmm.
if the other chooses one character to counter yours, you're screwed. But at the same time, maybe someone in your team can pick a character to counter his. So this type of balance makes it feel like more engaging, makes it feel more like, oh, okay, so I know that this team is going to win because they have this setup of characters, while this team is not gonna win, but they might because they have a different setup. They have one character. If they know how to play him, they can win. But in League of Legends, as much of a difference as there is between the characters, if you boil it down to it, they're all the same. Like there is no character that counters another character. All of them are the same. Uh, Basically, they don't have that much of it. Like there's no big difference between them, except looks, weapons, and stuff like that. They don't counter each other. Now, why is that? Because you need to unlock them in order to play more characters. So basically, some of the like if they made it like Dota in a way that characters are different and they can counter each other, if you did not unlock a specific character, you could be at a disadvantage. because maybe the other team chose a character that you need to counter. However, you can't because you didn't unlock the character yet. It would be a disadvantage. So what they did, instead of removing the lock, they made every single character bland.
I wouldn't really say they're bland. I mean, their superpower, their powers are quite different from, like, yes, maybe they have like an area of effect kind of like attack, and they have like a direct attack and these kind of things, like a range attack, and these attacks are kind of similar, but no, the builds are different. They're not the same.
Depends on what you buy, on what items you buy, and how you use the build. But I'm telling you, bottom line, I'm talking, okay, we're talking now Dota and LOL if you didn't buy any item. Okay, you're using your original powers. Dota characters can still counter each other, while LOL characters are basically only visually different. And I'm telling you as a person who played both. I'm not telling you as a person who's, you know, I've only played
Yeah,
Dota, but I watch LOL sometimes. No, I've played both. I mean, I was playing League of Legends for like a year until my friend introduced me to Dota. And when he did, and I started playing it with him, I understood that that's the difference between them. I understand the difference between the two. And back after that, I just couldn't go back to League of Legends. I really couldn't. And that's not
it's
even
a different
counting
appeal.
the
Like both games have the same genre, but they have different appeal for people. That's about it.
that's not even counting the history between them. Hold on, I need to just I'm very sorry.
Sure.
Someone is talking, man, I need to uh because I'm going to say this and probably people are going to ask me how and whatever. I don't care. I'm getting an order today.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's been
my
leaked.
yeah, it is late actually. I'm getting it today, and my cousin is asking me what happened, and I told him it's not yet. Like I'm waiting for the phone call from that guy to bring it to me.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. A friend of mine back in Saudi already finished it, and it took him, by the way, 7 hours.
yeah, yeah. I thank you so much for saying that on the argument that we were having. I mean, you
No,
could have known that.
I just got it. Like, I just got the news after I linked the entire conversation. But yeah, it took him about 7 hours, and yeah, that includes all the cutscenes and all the playing with the options and everything, and dying a lot, and like, yeah, it's not a long. Don't expect something like a long game.
Well, you know what? I already said that, and even if it's going to be 6, 7 hours, like I finished the Metal Gear Rising in like almost 5 hours. It's not even 4 hours. It's not even 5 hours. It's less than 5 hours. But it was an awesome game.
I just look at the order 1886, and I see a lot of red flags. First of all, already at Dawn had never done a game on their own. The only game that they did was the Chain of Olympus game on the PSP,
And Ghost of
and that's
Sparta.
the
And
no, that's not them.
yeah, Ready at Dawn. They made Daxter.
Daxter, no, they
Ready at
ported
Dawn?
Daxter to the PSP.
No,
They ported the
no,
Daxter to the PSP. Did a
no,
few
no. It's
ports to.
an original game. Daxter is an original game on the PSP. It wasn't ported to anything else. Check
Okay,
it out.
okay.
Ready?
Then
They actually
I stand
developed
corrected then.
Daxter. Yeah, that's the thing. They developed 3 games by themselves. I mean, yes, when they developed Daxter, Naughty Dog were supervising, but they are the one who worked on it. Naughty Dog didn't do anything. When they developed Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, yes, Santa Monica Studio were supervising. And again, Santa Monica Studio are supervising with the order.
Well, it's their own IP now. It's the first time that they work on an original IP. It's to be honest, like every single time I read their tweets, I just realize how stupid some of the devs are. Like, yeah, people were complaining about the black bars and the 30 frames per second, and instead of just going like, hey, we're gonna just go with the best aesthetics and trying to give you like the best experience we can have, kind of like what Naughty Dog did with Uncharted 4, they were like, no, it's just more cinematic. That kind of like lying to your customers and insulting their intelligence, that just seriously pisses me off. Like I can't really look past that. And every time I look at that game, I just remember that quote. I'm like, are you serious? It's
Well,
more.
if
It's just because it's more cinematic.
well, if I'm going to take quotes, there are a lot of games I wouldn't have played, by the way. If we're going to talk about quotes, because I can still remember the quote by, oh God, I don't even remember his name. The guy who made the guy who works at Ninja Theory.
Yeah. What did you say?
I still remembered his quote about Enslaved, and it was such a stupid quote, and yet I loved Enslaved.
Yeah. I mean, Enslaved. I only bought it when it was like $3 on Steam. I avoided that
I
game.
I actually got it when it came out. I loved it. I that's the thing about Ninja Theory. They're like they're idiots, but they did make good games. I mean, they made 3 games so far, and I loved all 3. I don't care what people say about DMC, Devil May Cry. Yes, I know the new Dante looks crappy. He looks like an emo git. Yes, I know the whole story is just weird and they changed everything, but that's what a reboot is. It's not a successful reboot when it comes to characters and story. I agree, but the gameplay was there. The game is good.
Yeah.
The game is actually
Yeah.
good.
Well, let's just not like veer out of the conversation here. Like, Order 1886 is still very, very um, relevant right now, and it doesn't only stop at the whole 30 frames per second debacle that they have. Um, like, whenever there is a game hyped so much, and the review embargo it's on the release date, that's a huge red flag for me. That's just a huge red flag. Like, okay, you're gonna stop and wait for the game's release. Like, even the worst companies, like I would say Ubisoft right now is on everybody's mind. They still have embargoes lifted like 4 or 5 days before the release of the game. So the game is released, you watch the reviews, and then you go like, should I pre-order now or not? But
But look at that.
when there's an embargo on the release date, I'm like, stop, don't order, wait.
Well, yeah, okay, I agree on the no ordering, but I agree on the no ordering for anything. I mean, I've only pre-ordered 3 games in my whole life, and those 3 games are 3 games that I knew I had to pre-order. And heck, one of them turned out to be a disappointment. So even then,
Yeah, so I'm not really hyped up about it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, it would give me an excuse to play my PS4 for a change, because it's been collecting dust for a while now. But other than that, I really have no reason to be hyped about this game. It looks like a very mediocre third-person shooter, and it's lacking when it comes to like things that I care about with third-person shooters. Like, come on, I need smoother gameplay. It just makes you like aim better. It adds to your gameplay. And 60 frames per second is not just aesthetic. It actually makes the
well,
gameplay better.
I never, I never felt anything bad about 30 frames per second. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a
Well, because
copy.
maybe because you haven't gamed in 60 FPS for a while. You tried it for a while and then you can't really go back. You just can't.
No, I did. I've been gaming at 60 FPS for a long time now. I've always been a PC gamer. I've always been playing on 60 FPS, but I just don't get bothered by 30 FPS as much as other people do. I just don't.
Well,
I don't
I
know
get
why.
bothered when it comes to, well, let's see. I just tested Attila Total War, and it's playing at 40, sometimes 30. It jumps to 60 frames per second on my build. My build is quite old. It doesn't bother me because it's not a fast-paced game. When I'm playing a fast-paced game that requires accurate shooting and like run and gun kind of mechanics, which was what the trailers showed us about Order 1886. I want that frame rate. It's not like I
Again,
would prefer. I know I want it to be there.
well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm not sure I can totally agree with you because I've played Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. I've played Resistance 1, 2, and 3. They were all on 30 FPS, and I never felt any problem with them. I just didn't. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the wrong
Yeah, but
one, but I didn't feel any problem with them. I never felt any disadvantage. I never felt that I was missing on something. And even when Last of Us came out, and people said, "Well, good that it was re-released on the PS4 because now 60 frames per second and all that." I felt like, well, I'm not going to replay it again just because it's 60 frames per second. I didn't. It didn't bother me when it was 30. As long as it's still on 30, as long as it's locked on 30, where it doesn't go below 30, I don't mind FPS at all. I seriously don't. I think the only game that I preferred on 60 FPS was Dark Souls 2, but that's the extent of it. I mean, you're talking about DMC, and you said that DMC, when it came to PC and it was 60 FPS, you felt a difference with it. I didn't. I just didn't. I'm sorry. Like, I'm telling you,
Well,
there's me.
it could be just confirmation bias, but the difference is there, and it's quite obvious. I don't know
I
how
don't.
anyone can just say there's no difference. There is a difference, and it's quite obvious to anyone.
I'm
Unless
saying
you're just choosing to ignore it, then you ignore it.
no. I didn't say there's no difference. I said the difference doesn't bother me. That's what I said. I said the
Well,
difference doesn't bother me. I've been playing on 60 and 30 all my life. Like PC games, 30 FPS. Like 60 FPS. Sorry. Even when we were playing Super Nintendo games, they were actually 60 FPS. Like
yeah,
Mega
most of
Man
them
X.
were.
Yeah. But when it went to 30 FPS, like when other games started to happen to get 30 FPS, like especially PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, I never felt any, like, I just didn't feel anything wrong with it. I've played fighters all my life on 30 FPS, and I never felt any problem with it. And fighters are the games that need 60 FPS, you know? I'm not
No,
saying
I after
I'm not saying there's no difference there.
like fighters with especially fast-paced fighters, they just play better with 60 FPS. And I would have forgiven them with the last generation. The seventh generation wasn't powerful at all. I would have forgiven them
Oh,
with that. But this generation of games,
no. I'm not defending this generation. It sucks that it's all on 60 FPS. I'm not defending this generation at all. I already watched your video about the problem with this current gen. I agree with everything you said, and I agree that it sucks that The Last of Us is on 30 instead. Sorry, the Order is on 30 instead of 60. I'm just saying that if that was
with
the only
black bars on top and bottom.
yeah, I'm not bothered by that as well. Shoot me.
No, that it just like when I look at it, I'm just gonna see this is the limitation. I'm playing on a thing that is just like is so underpowered, so overpriced, and it was a joke, and it was sold to people as the future of gaming.
Yeah, I do agree
And
on
I
that.
hate that.
I do agree on that. But at the same time, I'm not just gonna stand and like I said before, I'm not saying that The Order is going to be the best game that comes out. I'm not saying it's going to be a great game. I'm not saying that hands down it's definitely going to be one of the best games I've ever played in my life. All I'm saying is I don't understand the hate it's getting. That's all I'm saying. It's getting more hate than it deserves. It's getting more hate than other games that deserved a lot of hate. I just don't see
Well,
the
I
hate
think
behind
the way I see it, that any release right now is getting a lot of hate. Every game that was released in the last 2 months got a lot of hate, no matter what. Even an innocent game like Life is Strange on Steam got a lot of hate just because whatever people just made things up to hate the game because we reached this boiling point. Like we're not taking any bullshit from anyone anymore, and we're skeptical
it.
over any single game.
That's why at the moment I actually lost hope in any game that doesn't try to deliver. I don't like. I can forgive some games if they make a problem like that. Like if a game like think of FromSoft when they
Hmm.
are talking about Bloodborne. They said it's not going to be at 60. It's going to be at 30. But they definitely said we're not going to make it at 60 because we don't know how. They
Yeah, here's
definitely
the
said
thing. For that, even with Naughty Dog, they were like, well, we're trying, but it's not working. So we'll try to balance it out between like aesthetics and frame rate, and we'll see what we can do. They're open, but
they
they didn't come out and say, no, it just looks more cinematic, and this is our target. And I'm like, what, your target is to be mediocre?
yeah,
Like,
that is a stupid thing to say. and I did hate him when he said that. And I was thinking, well, if you want it more cinematic, well, then make it like every movie. Movies are 24 FPS. Make it like a movie then.
Well, well, here's the thing:
Or
movies and games don't play the same way. They just don't play the same way on the screen. The thing is, try to play a Blu-ray movie right now, and just hit pause at any moment. The frame's going to be blurred. You hit pause on the game, and the frame is going to be solid. It's
yes,
what we're looking at is a slideshow of 30 frames. It's not like a blurred photo or blurred pictures, blurred 30 pictures like stacked one after the other. So you're not going to feel the smoothness of a movie, even at 24 frames per second with a movie. Yes, I produce my videos, by the way, on 24 frames per second. But do you see the blurriness or the jagginess? No, you don't see that.
no, I don't.
But because videos, like actual videos, are made in a different way than video games. Now, how they counter that? They counter that by adding some motion blur, and it's been a console favorite for a while. But you know what that adds? It adds a little bit of lag. I mean, by concept, it adds a little bit of lag because it treats the next frame, processes the next frame and the current frame, and then displays it on the screen. Like you're always like a few frames behind on the screen, and once you start playing at 60 FPS and you start like noticing these things, like you start becoming like so fast-paced that you want that response time, and then you look at consoles game running at 30 frames per second with all these limitations and adding on that some motion blur, it just pisses you off. You're like, no, I can't play that.
I don't know. I just never felt it. I told you the only game that I preferred on 60 was Dark Souls, and I think the only reason that happened is because I played it on PC more than I did on console. I think that's the main reason why that happened. But the biggest thing I can say right now is that the frame rate of the 30 FPS, it doesn't bother me as much when the developers show us that they care. Like you said, when Uncharted, he said, we're aiming for 60, but we won't do it if it's going to affect the quality of our graphics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I respect that in a way, like in that kind of way. I respect that because I've played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 on 30 FPS, and I've loved them. I've really loved them. So, if 4 going to be a better graphic game than 3, but with 30 FPS, I don't think I'm gonna mind that. And maybe that's why I don't mind the order as much. I just hate the fact that they're making it as if it's a good thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, PC is moving on to 120, 140 frames per 124, and even like 300 frames per second right now. And yeah, maybe not all GPUs that are out there support it, but yet the potential is there. And I see, like, with the next iteration that's going to come out this year from NVIDIA and ATI, yes, we're going to have even modern games running at 120 frames per second. Yet the consoles are going to stick to 30. Like this gap is not going to get like smaller. It's going to get wider and wider year after year. Right now, there's a big portion of PC gamers are playing on 4K. 4K is actually affordable now. And consoles are still struggling with 1080p and 60 FPS. What is with that? So, yes, maybe I'm going to just buy the game and enjoy it in the end, but I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to just keep grinding, and I'm going to keep complaining about it until people hear it out. Like, we need better than this. We're not satisfied with this.
Yeah, that I agree. That I agree on. Like, we shouldn't keep quiet about this. And I do agree with you on the new consoles. Like, I don't care what people say. I'm really disappointed with these new consoles. They should have been awesome, and now not only are they not awesome, but they're holding back the PC as well. Because companies don't care about making their game better on PC than on PS4 and Xbox One. They want to make the
Well,
game.
that's
No,
going to be bound to change pretty soon.
not gonna be changed until people wake up. Seriously, look at what I'm talking. What game was that? I really don't want to use Unity, but I have to use it. Look at Unity. Look at Watch Dogs. They were dumbed down on the PC just to be able to reach the console version. Like,
Yeah,
look at Dark Souls 2. The first E3 demo we saw was on PC, and it's doable on PC. I don't care if they say it's not doable on PC. It's even doable on the PS4. I don't care what people say. The first E3
well,
demo of Dark Souls. But look what
here's
happened
what
to
I
it.
think. Yes, I know, and you're giving some Ubisoft examples, but from the sales numbers right now, if you look at the sales numbers, I mean, Steam is a bit stingy when it comes to sales numbers, but more and more games are being sold more on PCs. The PC community is the loudest right now, and it's demanding higher
But
graphics and higher everything. And we've been
the,
getting a lot of, well, not a lot, but we've been getting more exclusive on PC, at least on 2015, than both of the consoles, both of the big consoles combined.
well, I
So
don't see, I don't see that actually.
we've been getting like, okay, what we got so far, the ones that I got, Life is Strange,
That's not.
the Grey Goo. You've got what's it called? The one that I just played, Attila Total War, and there's a bunch of indie games as well. Actually, if you read the Steam forum of or the developer, what's it called? Kui something. The ones for Dead or Alive, the new one on PC. Actually, they're adding like um, a modability in the game, and they're actually tweaking their game. They're taking their time to tweak their game for PC, which for a Japanese developer is a big step forward.
Are really
I
looking.
don't think they're going to do the same mistake that they did last year with Unity and Watch Dogs and repeated this year, even with the big
Look,
releases.
I'm telling you, if that happens, and if PC seriously, people start to pick up PC and they start to and when I say people, I mean devs. When they start to spend more effort on PC, yes, I agree. That time, I can tell you, Sony and Microsoft are going to look at their consoles and they're going to say, "Well, fuck, we fucked up."
Yeah,
And
right now the consoles, the only thing that consoles have, they have two things. Well, three things that are really holding the community to them. They've got the convenience. Again, PC is not that easy. I mean, I did a whole
the,
video about how fragmented it is, and how that affects both developers and newcomers to the console, to the platform in general. And we've got the exclusives. Anyone who wants exclusives, they would get a console anyway. And we've got the fanboys. There are a lot of hardcore fanboys that would never change their mind no matter what.
I don't know. I got consoles for the exclusives. That's the only reason I got them. Convenience is not a thing anymore, especially for me because I'm already playing my consoles on the same monitor that I use for my PC. Like, if I'm going to talk about what I prefer PC. But I get consoles for the exclusives. I got a PS4 for Bloodborne. I got a PS4 for Uncharted 4. I got a PS4 for a potential God of War. They already mentioned that they're going to make an Uncharted 4, a new God of War. Um, that's why I got a PS4. I got an Xbox One for Sunset Overdrive.
I haven't got the Xbox One yet, and not enough games.
I'm telling you, dude. If you do ever get the Xbox One, Sunset Overdrive is enough. Like seriously, it alone is enough to buy an Xbox
Well,
One.
I might get it for the Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, you mean the Glitch Fest collection?
Well, I'm gonna play it for the single player. I do love the campaign of Halo, but yes, the multiplayer is broken as hell, and I'll wait for that game to go down to like $10 before buying it.
By the way, I'm watching uh, the Dead or Alive 5 on Steam as we're talking. and I'm
Yeah,
starting to. This game doesn't need modders. It like if it has modding,
and you're cut off, by the way.
I'm
You still with me?
scared. Eh, are you still with me? Hey,
Yeah, I'm still with you.
hello? You can hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. What was I talking about? I'm just telling you, this game, it scares me that it has a modding community.
Actually, they released a statement saying, "Hey, please treat the game with respect. Otherwise, we're gonna have to lock the modding feature." And I was
But
like, "Yeah, good luck telling the modding community not to do something."
that's kind of a weird statement because coming from them, the people who ultimate volleyball, that's kind of a weird statement to be honest.
Well, I mean, uh, they just don't want nudity, like absolute sort of like graphic nudity in the game, and I sort of get that because imagine the mainstream media like catching one of those videos on whatever, just have like this game with complete like titties and pussies and asses and looking very graphic, and they go like, "Hey, look at this game," and you know that the mass media would love to get their hand on a star like that. So it's a PR stunt. They're like, "Hey, just don't do that, please. Just treat it with a
Mm,
bit of respect."
like we're giving you
But
we're giving you the swimsuits that you want. Like just don't. Okay.
yeah, the thing is, I mean, the modding community doesn't even care. And like, if you look at some of the underground sort of mods for Skyrim, like I've seen some slavery mods that you can enslave people and like use them as sex toys and sex slaves in Skyrim. Like, yeah, with simulated porn. That is there. It's you can just install and play it. I don't see Bethesda going crazy about it. They're just like, well, whatever. People make whatever they like.
Uh, but I just don't get these sort of things. Like, if you really that desperate, just go watch porn. I mean, seriously. I think
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it either. But hey, people get to create whatever they want to create.
who am I to talk? The last game I've been playing, like the game I've been playing before Doom was actually Honey Pop.
Oh, Honey Pop was fun.
Last person to talk. It's, it's a good game.
Yeah,
I know what kind of game it is. I know, but it has horrible story. It's a game made by Americans trying to be Japanese, but the puzzle itself is actually pretty fun.
the puzzle element is fun, and the thing is, like, it's all satire over anime and sort of like the dating sim scene. And I do like that
Yeah,
about it, like just making fun of a genre while being a part of that genre at the same time. And it's just stupid and crazy, and I love it
but if it was total satire, why does it have a patch for uncensoring it?
because why not?
God,
I don't ask why for these things. Like why not?
and the game I've been playing before it even was. Have you ever heard of Nekopara?
No.
Don't. Don't look it up. Just don't.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Basically, it's just a visual novel, and I just don't get visual novels anyway. It's a visual novel about a guy who owns two cat girls, and it's just weird. It's like, oh, god damn it! I just
Oh yeah, I've seen some videos of it.
and it has an uncensoring patch.
Yes, of course.
Of course it does. And it's not only that, it's not like it has an uncensored patch, but it's obscure because the game is available on Steam. If you go to
Mm-hmm.
the Steam, the developers actually posted saying, if you want the uncensored patch, here it is on Steam. Like, so technically, you can buy a hentai game. Good job.
Yeah, and that's the way they work the system. It's like, okay, we're not selling hentai games on Steam, but it's just a patch for those who want it.
Yeah, it's like a. Yeah. I'm happy that Steam are not removing the post, at least.
Well, I mean, why would they? Let's face it, like most people that buy these games actually want these patches. And if the developer doesn't post them, then someone's gonna find it and post it anyway. So why even bother?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But all in all, I just don't get visual novels unless they are like that. In which case, I don't like them, but I can get why people play them. If they have this kind of, like this sort of thing. But when it comes to visual novels, I think I've only played one, two, three, four visual novels in my life. No, five if you count Phoenix Wright. Is Phoenix
Well,
Wright
I
considered?
wouldn't say it's a novel, really.
Well,
I wouldn't really
it
compare.
it is part of that genre, like the visual novel genre. So
Yeah, and then you can say Professor Layton is the same way.
yeah, but Professor Layton has puzzles in it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I never really thought of Phoenix Wright as like a visual novel kind of game. It's just me.
I get your point because when I said those are the only five visual novels I've ever played, all five of them are not exactly visual novels. Like the other four are actually Danganronpa 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what was it called? Triple Nine and
Mm-hmm.
Virtue's Last Reward.
Well, I never
And
played any of them.
well, you should, to be honest, but at the same time, maybe you can't because they're all available on handhelds. I'm not sure what's your opinion on handhelds. Uh, Danganronpa 1 and Danganronpa 2, three of my favorite Vita games.
Yeah,
And
well, I
I'll tell
do
you
play
something.
hand now and then, but it's not like I prefer playing on them to be honest.
Me neither, but some games are really like I would rather playing them on my console or on my PC, but some people do appreciate handhelds. But the thing about Danganronpa, which is actually called Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, it is
Mm-hmm.
one of the best games I've ever played. I love it to death. And like, oh God, I just love that game. Basically, I'm not going to tell you the whole story of it, but basically, it's like you're a guy, you're a student, you're playing as a student who came to this school of ultimate students, like the best in
Okay.
each field. Uh, and I didn't actually like, and they weren't normal fields. It wasn't like the best in math or the best in physics or no. It was like the best fashionista, best fanfic writer, the the best gangster, like stuff like that. It was a weird story, but it was so well written. Like basically, you come to this school, and as soon as you come in, you lose consciousness, and when you wake up, you realize that you're in this school with 15 other, well, 15 or 14, I actually forgot, students. And
Mm-hmm.
you're trapped in the school, and then you find this stuffed uh, bear. Like it's a stuffed bear, mechanical bear. It moves around and it talks, and it says that welcome to Hope, to the School of Hope. Uh, Basically, you're stuck here for the rest of your lives. You're never getting out of here unless you graduate. And the only way to graduate is to commit a murder and get away with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome, and the idea is the game has three phases. The first phase, which isn't interesting at all, where you actually like socialize. So you talk to characters, you go around, you advance the story in that way. I don't like that phase. It's called like a, I don't remember what it's called. It's, I think, day phase. And then the second phase would be the investigation, when you find a body and you investigate, you talk to people, you try to find witnesses, you investigate, you look for clues, and then finally, which is my favorite part of the game, the court phase, where
Hmm.
all characters plus the bear will sit down around a circle in a mock court, and then basically you just have to use all the information that you have. It's basically like Phoenix Wright, you know, it's the same way as Phoenix Wright, but it's more intense because everything is happening fast. It's not like you can read everything you want on a normal pace. Everything happens fast, and when someone says something, you need to contradict it at the same time he said it.
Okay.
It's a very interesting game, and it's so well done, and the story is so good, and I love it so much. I just want to play it again, even though I know the ending, and the ending has such a plot twist. Like, I don't know. People rave about the plot twist in Bioshock Infinite, but if they see the plot twist in this game, it's just I just love this game so much.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with you is like you either hate a game or you just like it so much. I mean, I haven't seen a game that you have in between.
Well, there are games I have in between. There are games that I don't hate but I don't like. Like games that I can live without, but I'm happy that they're available. Uh, I'm looking in front of me right now. Luigi's Mansion, as an example.
Yeah,
I,
was alright.
yeah, I appreciate it's available. I just don't hate it. But I don't like it as well. It's not like, oh, okay, I like these the games that I don't hate but I don't like are the games that I would play just once. I enjoy them, played them, I really liked my experience with them, but I wouldn't feel like, you know what, I'm bored, I want to pick up this game again. Uncharted, sometimes I just feel like, you know what, I want to pick up Uncharted again. I want to just hold a controller and play it for a few minutes at least. But then, yeah, then again, you take a game like uh, I'm looking for a game here. You take a game like Resident Evil 5 as an example. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I don't. I never feel like, you know what, I want
Hmm.
to play that game. I want to pick it up again. I want to play it again. Uh, Pikmin, same story. Twilight Princess, same story. These are games that I enjoyed once. I wouldn't think about picking them up again. But when I'm telling you about Danganronpa, it is one of the games that stuck in my head. So there are games that stick in my head. The best example of a game that I don't hate, like it's in the middle, the new Tomb Raider.
No, I loved it.
Well, I didn't. I just felt it was good. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I would never think about playing it again. And I would never. It didn't stick in my head. You know, it wasn't. There was nothing in that game that made me feel like, oh yeah, that was a pleasant experience. It was just an okay experience to me. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I didn't hold anything from it. Nothing stuck in my head.
Well, I mean, I played it 4 times, so that's a thing.
I'm not saying the same games that I like but not hate should be for everyone else. Different people like different games. I mean, fuck, I'm playing Honey Pop for God's sake, man.
Yeah.
Like different people play different games. Uh, like my friend is addicted to Dota. I just play it occasionally. You know, it's something that I enjoy sometimes. Uh, People adore Super Mario. I've played Super Mario World 3, Super Mario 3D World just once. I don't think about playing it again, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's all understandable. Like, different people have different tastes, and I totally accept that. It's just that I try not to generalize when it comes to these things, and I try not to take my opinion and my preferences as a measuring point. I always try to analyze the games and critique them based on being as objective as I can be. Like some games I just enjoyed, even though they're flawed. Um, can yeah, I can name a lot of examples of that. And some games that were praised by others, I just did not enjoy. But to be able to like separate your own biases from your opinions about the games, that's what I strive to do. So when you say that, yeah, I just did not enjoy Tomb Raider, you must have like had a reason there or there somewhere. But
Oh yeah,
is that just your opinion, or is just your preference, or is
it's
it
my
something
opinion.
that is objectively wrong with the game?
No, no, it's my opinion. I don't have a. It's an opinion of mine that something in the game people liked and I didn't.
Yeah,
Tomb
that's
Raider.
totally understandable.
Yeah, like for example, I can tell you something. Sonic 06. Anyone who defends it is wrong. Like you can't try to defend a game like that. Okay, if you defend it, it means you're sniffing glue. Please don't stop sniffing glue. Um, but a game like Tomb Raider, some people loved it, some people hated it. Some people are indifferent about it because it's a game that did something. You know, some people say, "Well, it's a great reboot. I love the new Lara Croft." Some people say, "Well, it really deviated from the originals. I feel like it's trying to be an Uncharted." To me, I enjoyed it. I neither hated it nor loved it. I thought it was forgettable, but I enjoyed it at the time. The only problem I have with it was the abundance of, for lack of a better word, the abundance of oh my god moments. Like every single part of the game has to be an oh my god moments where it's like, can I just walk from here to here without having a plane falling on me or something? Like, like okay, I was on a plane and I was like, I was trying to climb that plane and I was going to a different part, and then the plane drops and I'm in this whole waterfall thing trying to avoid stuff. And after I get out of the waterfall thing, a guy starts beating me, and I have to all cutscene, of course, where you have minimal uh, like input. Uh, those things are good when you make them moderately and they're spaced out. I just felt in Tomb Raider there was a like like overly used in
Yeah, but again, I can fault Uncharted for the same thing.
well, that's the thing. I didn't feel it in Uncharted because in Uncharted they were many, but they were spaced out. Like in Uncharted, I can tell you and like a part of every single Uncharted that I remember distinctly. But even playing Tomb Raider recently, after I played every single Uncharted, I don't remember any part of it. Like I try to remember them, I just don't. Like there was no part that stuck in my head because it was like, and it was always the same thing. Like the oh my god moment is always the same type of oh my god moment. The best part for me was when I was trying to help that guy who was stuck in the submarine. I forgot his name. Like he was stuck in the submarine, and I need to move this object on the with the ladder with the half ladder on the ceiling. I had to move it in order to
Mhm.
get into his room where he's stuck. That part stuck with me because it was really different. It did stick with me. And the ending when you're fighting the ancient samurais, I loved that part.
Yeah, that part was kind of fun. There were a lot of moments in Tomb Raider that stuck with me. Like, killing my first guy as Lara and seeing her reaction was kind of amazing. Climbing that gigantic radio tower and actually seeing her smile for once, I was like, "Whoa, hey, we made something."
If we're going to
And yeah,
story,
the entire last act of the game was just like they couldn't have ended it better.
if we're going to talk about character, yeah, I do love the new Lara. I do love her character, and I think she's one of the best female protagonists that came out the last few generations. Uh, but if we're going to talk about gameplay, like I said, that's why I don't think that I'm right. I just think that it's my opinion. A lot of people enjoy Super Mario more than Sonic. I enjoy Sonic more than Super Mario. Doesn't mean they're wrong. Doesn't mean I'm right. Just means that I think.
It's
Uh,
just it's just the way I like to review. When I review a game, I like to just separate my opinion from things. That's it. So I
yeah,
want
and
to say.
I also do that. So, for example, if anyone asks me what I think about Tomb Raider, I tell them what's good about it. And then I'll tell them personally, and I'll say what I think personally, so that they will know that this is something I don't like. But it's not because the game is wrong, it's because I don't like it. Uh, I'm trying to think of another example of a game that, like, I think that there is no right or wrong in it. You know, if you hate it or you don't hate it, the game is not wrong. Make a mistake. It just made a design choice that some people enjoyed and some people
I
didn't.
think that
I
applies
think
to like 90% of games out there.
Alien Isolation is like that.
Yeah, you either like it or hate it. And like I said, like 90% of games out there, you just like unless they do something like objectively wrong, like if the control was broken or if the game is buggy, then yeah, I mean there's no defending that. But if the game is running and you can finish it from point like from the start to finish without any crashes and it controls just fine, then yeah, you give it like a 10 out of 10 or 0 out of 10. It's up to you.
There is a difference between something you liked and you didn't like and something that's definitely wrong. Uh, like this game that came out. Like for example, let's take Unity as an example. The
Hmm.
game, the frame rate was dropping continuously down from even 30. Uh,
Yeah.
those things cannot be excused. So you can't say, well, some people liked it, some people didn't. No, these are wrong. This stuff is wrong. Let's take Far Cry 4. It's a complete copy of Far Cry 3 with little to no differences. Again, people can't say, well, I don't think copying the previous game is bad. No, they can't say
Well, I
that.
mean, well, why not? I mean, I beg to differ, but hey, if I go to McDonald's and order a Big Mac, and the second day I wanted another Big Mac, does that make the second Big Mac less of a
No,
thing
no, no.
because I already had a Big Mac?
No, 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 that's different. That's a different analogy because that means if you played Far Cry 3 and then you replayed Far Cry 3, because it's the same thing. But if I gave you Far Cry 3, and then if I gave you a Big Mac, and then I give you a slightly bigger Big Mac, it's not good enough. I want something new. Either give me something new or let me go eat the same Big Mac again. You get my point? Uh, Far Cry 4, it's not a bad game. It's definitely a great game, but I just feel like it should have been better. It just should have been better. Because Far Cry, as much as people say Far Cry 3 is a lot like Far Cry 2, I really don't agree. I feel like Far Cry 3 overpassed Far Cry 2 in so many levels, but I didn't feel the same with Far Cry 4. I just felt the only great addition in Far Cry 4 is the ability to ride an elephant. That is something that you wouldn't know that you want to do until you do it.
It gave you more of the same thing, more of what you like. I would say it's more like an expansion of 3 than it is a sequel to it.
That's the thing.
It
That's the
still
thing.
doesn't make it less of a game. If you like it as an expansion, then it's good as an expansion. I would not say that it's objectively bad because it's just an expansion.
Well, yeah, okay, okay, I can agree on that. Maybe I chose a wrong example. I can agree on that. Yes, maybe it's not about being the same as the previous one. Maybe it's about being worse than the previous one. Like when you buy a game.
I try to, well, judge each game on its own merit. Don't judge it on its sequels or prequels. Just on its own merit. Does it stand or
I'm sorry.
not?
That shouldn't be. Like you should judge it as a sequel because a sequel means you have to add stuff, you have to make it better. Objectively, Far Cry 4 is better than 3. Even if it copies it a lot, it is better. So let's remove that as an example. I'm not going to mention it again because yes, you're right about that. But let's take a game like, for example, Gears of War Judgment. It is definitely worse than Gears of War 3. So if you're going to make a review about it, you can't just say, well, on its own merits, it's a good game because it's not.
Well, on
They,
its own merit, it's not even a good game on its own merits. So that's the thing. I would
well,
say an easier example I can work with here, especially with this, is Dungeon Keeper 1 and Dungeon Keeper 2, where Dungeon Keeper 2 was different in a lot of ways. It innovated a lot. The graphics was better, but it was less strategic and it was less punishing, and it just didn't feel like a good game on its own. So yeah,
my point.
maybe a lot of people just go into Dungeon Keeper 2 and go like, hey, it's not Dungeon Keeper 1, it's bad. No, just judge it on its own merits. And on its own merit, it's still not as good. So in that case, I would just like, if
I'm
you
just
like
going.
this genre, go play the previous one.
I'm just going to choose a specific, like the deal breaker, if you will. I'm just going to choose a game that I'm. Oh, God damn it! I can't even think of a game like that. Okay, this is an obscure one. A lot of people are not going to get it. I hope they do. It's an old game, but it definitely. Oh, you know what? I don't even. No, yeah, it's an old game, and people definitely aren't going to understand it exactly as I am. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever played Croc?
Yes.
Well, have you ever played Croc 2?
No.
Okay, I can tell you. I need to choose the game that you played. I can't just choose any game whatsoever. I need to choose a different. Oh, God damn it! I can't even think of one. Okay, here's the best one. I have the best example.
Mm-hmm.
Oddworld.
Oh yeah, Oddworld. You just like, well, the last time we talked about Oddworld for like hours and hours.
Because I love that game, but I'm not going to talk about it for hours and hours. I'm just going to explain one thing only, one small thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oddworld, if there was no Oddworld 1 and 2, like if Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus were not a thing, they didn't exist, Munch's Odyssey would have been a lot better. It would have been a great game, and I would have loved it. I would have said this is one of the best third-person 3D platformers I've ever played. But because I know that they could do better games because they already did Oddworld 1 and 2. So I know they can do better. That's the time I can't judge it on its own merit. I can say if it wasn't Oddworld, I would have loved it. But because it's Oddworld, I don't because I know that they can do better than that. I just
So basically, I mean, in this case, you're judging a game based on what it is not, rather than what it is.
yes, because when the developers made a game and then they made a sequel which is worse than the original game, even if it's a great game. Dark Souls 2 is the best example. It's a great game. Dark Souls 2 is a great game, but compared to Dark Souls 1, it's worse. I need to judge it that way because I know that they can do better. So why didn't they make it better? Because, like I said before,
Because
Dark Souls 2, great game. I love it. I played it twice. I enjoyed it. But it's not as good as the first one, which means when I'm going to review it, I can't say, well, it's a great game on its own merit, even though it's worse than the previous one. I need to say it should have been better. I have to say it. Otherwise, what is it? What is a sequel? A sequel should be better than the original. It should be better. When you're making a game, you should improve it over the original. If you didn't, even if it's the
well,
best game ever.
here's how I look at it. Um, when it comes to quality of anything, it's a scale. So if, let's say, Super Mario 1, the first one, Super Mario Brothers, set the scale of platformers at 10. And this is the par right now that people need to reach. Super Mario 2 came out. It's not as good. But would I just score it down so harshly because it's not the same as the original? No, I would just go play it as its own merit. I'm like, as a platformer, I would give it an 8. Because Mario, the first one, is my 10. So it's still an 8, but if it was released under another franchise, would I score it higher because I can't compare it to the first one? No, it's just a platformer that has this name, but I would give it an 8. It's like, and these are
I,
scores that I pulled out of my head right now. Like I would never give like either of those games a 10 or an 8, but like
I know.
I can give you a lot of examples where a sequel was way worse than the original, and I would judge it on its own merit. And by its own merit, it would get a bad score, not because the original was there. I mean, we all remember Devil May Cry 2. Actually, the only reason we played it was because it's Devil May Cry, but still, the game was bad, and everybody would just say the game is bad, whether it's a Devil May Cry game or whether it's not. So,
But I don't
I would
actually
just
like
like
that.
Devil May Cry 2. Are you serious?
Yes. In fact, it was the
Why do
first
you
Devil
like?
May Cry.
Yeah, again with the scale. Like when you have a scale, first one like actually not even Devil May Cry set that scale for me. Like it was Onimusha that set that scale so high. Like for it's kind of like action story games, action adventure games. Like that game just set the bar so high, and then Devil May Cry approached that. It didn't even reach it. And then 2 came out, and it's like not even close. Not even close. So for those that would review the game, I would never even look at the title. I would just review it on its own merit. And that's why we have the games like Devil May Cry DMC, the reboot that most people like. No, most people dislike, but I liked it because I judged it on its own merit. If I was judging it based on the series, then yeah, preconceptions are going to be there, and I would never be able to judge it based on its own merit. And the same goes with positive or negative reviews.
I think maybe I didn't get my point straight. I'm not saying if a game, like for example, if it's a game that, if it wasn't, like the example I said, if Dark Souls 2 wasn't called Dark Souls 2, it was called a different game, like a modern tactical symptoms, I would have
Okay.
given it the same score I give it as Dark Souls 2. My point is, I wouldn't give it a higher score just because it's a Dark Souls 2. That's my only point. I'm not telling you that, okay, if it's Dark Souls 2, I'll give it an 8, but if it's another game, I'll give it a 9. I'm saying if it's a Dark Souls 2, I'll give it an 8, but if it wasn't a Dark Souls 2, if this was Dark Souls 1, I would have given it more love. Maybe I would give it an 8, but I would recommend it more. But now, for example, if anyone asks me, what about Dark Souls 2? Do you think I should play it? I'll just say, just get the first one. You don't have to get the next one, just get the first one.
Yeah, I mean, once you play more games, you just upgrade that scale of yours, like which is good, which is less good, and which is the worst.
Yeah, but
And this is why I play like from the worst to the best. I play everything that comes my way, just to know where my scale is.
I'll give you an example. Have you played Final Fantasy X?
I've played every single Final Fantasy out there.
Well, so stupid question then. Final Fantasy X, on its own merit, is a great RPG. Compared to Final Fantasy VII, I hated it.
Actually, I loved it because I compared it to 7. Because 7 is the most overrated game I've ever played in my life.
Oh god. I don't know. I just love it. I'm sorry. I love it. I love Final Fantasy VII. I think I like it and 6 are my two favorite Final Fantasy games. I've never played a better one.
6
I'm talking
is
game.
one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Compared to that, I played 7, and I'm like, what is that? That was just The story was all over the place. The only merit of that game was the music. They had good music, but none of the stories and the characters were more like caricatures. They're all one-dimensional. Like there's no character development of anyone in that game. None of them had any character development whatsoever. And what they relied on for character development is that they had a cutscene for each one of the characters to they remember like a painful moment of their past. And I'm like, is that it? It was just disappointing.
Well, you're talking about story here. I didn't care about the story. I
And
cared
even
about
the gameplay. Okay, let's go with gameplay. Let's go with gameplay now. The materia system was just I don't know. Like you get like one pair of materia that you like, and you can continue with that the entire game, and then they will keep on multiplying for some reason. Like why are they multiplying? I don't have a reason to multiply these. And okay, and you get like it's just stages like the library, for example, or some busy areas in the map where you can't move for 2 steps without an extra fight. How is that fun? And the fights take forever. Like even when I start fighting like the little monsters, they take forever. Loading time, and then you fight, and then okay, even if you want to escape, okay, escape. There's loading time to escape. It was atrocious.
I don't remember that library
So
actually.
the library is where we meet Vincent, and it's
Oh
a big
yeah,
part of the game. And there's like the mountain where you climb to reach that Red X13, whatever his name is.
those parts. Come on,
There-
Final
There's a
Fantasy
lot of
10 also.
parts in the game where I mean I can't remember them all, but I can just if you want me, I can list them to you all, like all the ones that annoyed the hell out of me. And the only part of the game that I enjoyed was the theme park, which is very cheesy, but that's the only part that I enjoyed.
I
I
don't
don't
know,
even
dude.
remember most of the story because most of it was just boring and nonsensical.
I have lost interest in Final Fantasy stories ever since Final Fantasy 6. And even 6, it wasn't like I loved the story itself, but Kefka was just like an amazing villain. That's all.
You have Kefka, and it's even from the introduction of 6, like from the beginning, like, and you see the little three mechas just walking by while the story is being told to you. The music was pretty epic for a time. It's still epic till
God.
now.
Uh,
And that opera scene was one of the most touching scenes I've ever seen in games. And I've played even The Last of Us, where people are, oh yeah, you're gonna cry. Watch that opera scene. It's way better than any of the modern games we're able to produce. So, yeah, that was, first of all, like, it was a fall of quality, and it was, like, the overhype that it got. And I played it. When I played it, I was like, is this it? Is this what the whole fuzz is about? And, yeah, again, judging it on its own merit, it's an average game. It's just an average game. And this is a game that came on a time where you could just buy a game like Final Fantasy VIII. It was like a few years later. Or you can play 6, or you can play Chrono Trigger, for example, which was way better.
Here's where we kind of differ because I actually didn't like 8.
I enjoyed 8, at least it had better characters.
But I just like the magic system in 8 was really broken. I really did not enjoy it.
I never play Magic anyway.
No, you need to use magic in like some spells in Final Fantasy.
You have to, but I avoid it. I build 1 or 2 tank characters, 1 support character, and that's how I do it.
If we're talking about RPGs, yes, I can mention that my top 10 RPGs, maybe Final Fantasy 7 would be like number 10 or something. But if we're talking Final Fantasy itself, it's number 2 for me. If we're going to talk Final Fantasy, it's number 2.
How would I
If
rate
we're
my
going
Final
to talk-
Fantasies? Let me think.
For me, it's very simple. I wouldn't rate the first 2 because they were experimental, and I can't fault them for anything. I just can't. I, I, I would try to fault them, I just can't. I never played 3, surprisingly.
We'll play 3. 3 is fun.
I want to play it. I never played it. I want to play it. I played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, unfortunately 13.
I got 13 on the PC. I want to replay it again.
Play it. I played 11, and I want to play 14. Sorry, I didn't play 11.
14 is a lot of fun. 14 is a lot of fun.
I really, really want to play it. I'm just waiting until I have like enough time to actually devote myself for an MMO. But I really want to play 14. And the thing is, most of the people that I know own the game on PC, but I own it on PS4. I can't find like, people to
I
play
have
it
no.
with. Yeah, I,
Well,
I don't know why I got it on PS4. To be honest, it was there. I just wanted it. That was the time when I was planning on making a Let's Play. You know what? I should make a Let's Play of Final Fantasy 14. It could be interesting.
yeah, I could start a new character.
Yeah, I've never played an MMO in my life, by the way. Never.
I played a few.
DayZ is, I think, the only one, and I don't exactly think it qualifies as an MMO. It does. To be honest, yeah, it does. So yeah, DayZ is the only MMO I've ever played. I've never been into the WoW uh, fad.
It's not a conventional MMO, but it still is. So, okay, I tried to list the Final Fantasies that I like based on, like, rank them up. Final Fantasy 7 came on number 7, which is kind of weird. I've got number 1 is 6, 6, 8, 10, 3, 14, 5, 7, and then 9. And then the rest are just garbage.
Hmm. Well, for me, if I'm going to rate them, it's 6, 7, 4, 9. No, sorry, 9 and then 4. 5, 10,
Yeah?
12, 13.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I never
13
really
is
enjoyed
depth.
4 that much.
I actually really liked it, even though it was really basic, but I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, I'm not going to rate 1 and 2 because really, I just feel they were they were faulted. They were really flawed, technically bad games. But during the time that they came out, you can't flaw them because nothing else was there like that.
I mean, they took the concept of the Western RPGs where you have stats added up to Dungeons and Dragons characters, and they just went with it, and that's all they had.
I know, but still, like I said, that's why I don't want to fault them. Like faulting those two would be to me the same as faulting the first three Ultima games. Like you just can't. Nothing was available like that. It was an experiment and it was fun. So if you're really going to fault it for that, just, I mean, come on. It's not going to be fair. There is, to me, that's my only opinion. The first ever platformer, if it sucks, you can't say that it sucks because it was the first ever platformer. It didn't have any other game to take inspiration from. So when you're talking about
Yeah,
the
it's
first Ultima and you're talking about the first ever Final Fantasy, I know they're not the first ever RPGs, but they just didn't have that much games to get take inspiration from. They were experimental. I mean,
it
Ultima
was just a
started.
concept at that point.
Yeah, Ultima started as this nerd, this British nerd who just felt like he wanted to uh, make a game out of his tabletop D&D games.
Yeah, and I remember like the first text adventure game that was released. It was called Adventure, and back in the DOS days, they couldn't really have a name that long, so it was called Advent. Broken as hell, but yeah, again, proof of concept.
You can't fault it. It was the first ever. You can't say it sucks. Well, I mean, it was the first ever. They were experimenting. They were trying their best. I mean, okay, if you say that King's Quest 1 sucks, for example, even though it doesn't, but if you say it does, you have a reason to say it sucks because it did have games to take inspiration from. So the concept was already there, but I really don't think it sucks.
Yeah, the King Quest is still one of those series that I still want to do a marathon of someday. I played most of them. I think it's the wait, which ones did I miss? I think it's either 3 or 4. One of
Well, it
those I
depends.
haven't played.
If three, if you remember it, like if you played it, you will never forget it. To me, three was my favorite actually.
Oh, my
Uh,
favorite is still 6.
yeah, a lot of people say
But
six or five, but to me, my favorite is three, uh, because it had the most freedom than any other adventure game I've ever played. Three is the one where you play as this wizard, wizard's apprentice, sorry, and it just has a very interesting concept where in real time, I think it was real time, maybe it was game time, but in a specific amount of time, the wizard leaves the house. Now, if the wizard ever
mhm.
catches you with magical ingredients or magical items, he would directly kill you, and he can see that as soon as he saw you. You know, like
Yeah, I
even
think
if
I think I haven't played that one.
yeah, that is my favorite one. Hold on, just a moment, just one moment. Okay, we've been talking for how long? Hold on.
I don't know how long, but we've been talking for 2 hours at least.
It's like 2 hours, 30 minutes. I think I need to stop now. It's getting late. Maybe we can wrap things up.
Yeah, we can wrap things up. So, okay, quick question. Games
Yep.
that you're excited about that are coming out this month. Is there any?
This specific month is like
Yes.
I don't know. Is there anything else other than the order?
Look, nothing that I can think of, to be honest. But okay, the next release that you're excited about. Which one is it?
Bloodborne, definitely.
All right. Well, for me, I'm still hoping that The Witcher doesn't get any more delays, and that's going to be in May. But don't have any games before that I'm excited about at all. I'm just going to play
Uh,
it by ear.
yeah, no, you know what? I'm pretty sure there are indie games that I'm excited for. But when it comes to uh, triple A titles that are coming, the next release that I'm looking forward to, yeah, it's definitely Bloodborne. Like I'm pretending that the order is already out. It would be Bloodborne.
Okay. Well, we can wrap it up there. Well, I know that this podcast has been all over the place. We'll try to be more focused next time. And thank you
Yes.
for our 2 watchers. We only have 2 watchers, and I'm sorry, Agriel, we didn't try to answer your question, but we kind of talked about it a lot. He was asking like what game that a lot of people loved and you hated. We've been talking about that for hours now. So yeah, pretty much almost all the AAA titles pretty loved we kind of hate. So yeah, this has been Habib and Nejo talking from Dubai about games and random shit. Um, we'll do this again next week.
Yep. Yep.
All
And
right.
next week we will
See?
have focused stuff to talk about.
Okay. Well, have a good night, Nijo.
You too, man. Take care. Bye bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye bye.